spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Brought to you by the makers of Vicks Sinex Spray. Noses prefer Vicks Sinex. By Sears, home of the steel-belted radio that ran the route of the Pony Express, Sears Road Handler. And by Rolaids, for acid indigestion, Rolaids. Rolaids spells relief. Consumes 47 times its weight in excess stomach acid.
This is the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington. And on his way there, none other than motorcycle daredevil Evel Knievel. Evel arriving in a swirl of publicity, with his trucks, his vans, and his many aides. Today we'll see Evel attempt a jump that almost spelled disaster for him earlier today. Evel in a practice jump, landing far short of his mark over 7 buses, and here it is. In addition, we'll look at some of his previous triumphs and tragedies from the Snake River Canyon in Idaho to Wembley Stadium in London, England, and Kings Island in Ohio. Now here's Jim McKay for an event you've enjoyed before here on ABC's Wide World of Sports. We'll be returning to the World Weightlifting Championships in Moscow, an event you've enjoyed before here on Wide World of Sports. But right now, you're looking at the Space Needle, located in Seattle, Washington. And from high atop that Space Needle, a view of this lovely northwestern city. Here's the skyline. Now, the newest addition to that skyline is the Kingdome, that has brought Major League Baseball back to Seattle, professional football here for the first time. It's also attracted Evel Knievel and all of his expensive toys. The Sky Cycle, part of a $2 million project. $26,000 according to Evel Knievel for his Cadillac pickup. The Stutz Bearcat, $65,000. The Ferrari, the same. And the Crash Car, $30,000. And the Wheelie Car, another $30,000. Those 7 vehicles, private toys of this man, Evel Knievel. But the 7 vehicles that Evel is concerned with today are not his high-priced toys. 7 buses lined up for his jump attempt here at the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington. Evel also has a very special van, a traveling home, if you will. And right now, I'm seated with him in that particular van.
And it's not your ordinary van you might expect to find cruising the roads of this country. As a matter of fact, there's about $100,000 involved in it. It looks more like a New York penthouse apartment. Evel Knievel, just a few minutes away from a jump. Bob, you look just as relaxed as you could be.
I feel pretty good. I don't have as much room in this Kingdome as I had in Wembley Stadium in London, England. The ramps are built perfectly. I'm not psyched up. I'm calmed down, and I think it's going to be one of the best shows I ever put on, ever.
You've had a very eventful few years, going back all the way to the Snake River Canyon. Let's talk about the Snake River for a moment. Evel, I know that's one of the ones you didn't make, and I think it bugged you, and we've talked about it before, and you also told me that's one you would never try again.
Nope, I didn't lose anything in the state of Idaho, and I didn't lose anything in the bottom of the Snake River Canyon. And when I landed in the rocks, I knew it was all over, and I knew I was safe. I wanted to make it across, but I really didn't give a damn. I was alive, and I tried it. I was upset because I had a malfunction on the machine after waiting for 7 or 8 years and then having something go wrong. And not being able to be successful. When I had a chance to think about it after it was all over, I would have rather made it across, but maybe those who saw it will now say, well, it wasn't so easy, and if they want to try it, well, let them go try. I'll stand there and root for them.
Well, it couldn't have been easy. Let's go back and take a look at it.
Okay, Evel, stay with the bird, stay with the bird. It looks like you're going to go into the canyon. In the river. You had a premature shoot. You have a good shoot on you. Come on. Stay with the vehicle. Stay with the vehicle. Put your visor up if you can.
You cannot see it now. There she goes, beneath the rim of the canyon. It's going to crash, obviously, into the river. It is okay, though. She's coming down about 17 feet per second. Slowly going down. It is
just cleared the rocks, thank God.
The family, and we're racing around to them now, is hysterical and in shock, crying. They think Evel may be dead or maybe drowning in the river.
Let's go over to Bud Perillo, who's got a view of what's happening.
Yes, what happened was this. Evel definitely tried to get out, but he couldn't. And it appeared that he hit the side of the canyon. Now, he did not go into the river. It looked like the nose did hit on the side.
Evel, one has to wonder, how in the world did you ever get into that situation? What made you want to do it?
Well, now when I hear about things that other people want to try, stunts that seem ridiculous or they could lose their lives at, I wonder what in the hell was the matter with me. Or if there really was anything, and I had such a desire and a quest to be the best at this daredevil jumping in the world that I picked the toughest obstacle. Now that I'm a little older, I wouldn't want to do that. I look towards safety. But I think that every man in his life, if he'll really admit it, goes through a period in life to where he'll really just about do anything. And that's a time period, I think, where you go through from being a boy to becoming a man. I mean, you're a little wild in that stage of your life.
The only difference between a man and a boy is the price of the toy.
Yeah. Well, in my case, the Sky Side was a $2 million toy that went in the bottom of the river.
What were the safety factors involved, though?
There wasn't any. I was tied in it. I actually had a harness on, but with a stomach chute system, a pack, but there was no way. I would have drowned it if I'd have gone in the river. There's just no hope, and I really thought I was going in. It was a very sad feeling I had, a feeling of complete loss, complete anguish, complete defeat going down into that canyon. Because in my wildest dreams, I never thought that I would ever be lucky enough to smash into the rocks on the other side and not go into the water.
You know, and then, well, it was a little over a year later, we were in Wembley with a stadium jump, and that was one of the wildest things I've ever seen. I don't believe you felt that you could make that jump, and we're going to take a look at that in just a minute when we come back.
You're looking at the skid marks on Evel Knievel's landing ramp, where earlier today, Evel Knievel almost wound up in disaster as he attempted to practice a jump over 7 buses. And for me, it also brought back a frightening memory.
A year ago last spring, May of '75 to be exact, I was sitting right in this very van in Wembley Stadium in London, England. 80,000 people were there, and about an hour before that jump over 13 double-deck buses, Evel, you looked out the window and looked at that crowd, and you turned to me and you said, "Frank, I can't make it." Now, what in the world would ever lead you to get out of this van, go out there, knowing pretty much in your own mind that you couldn't do it?
Well, I'd said that I would do it. And there were 80,000 people there. There was nothing that I could do but keep my word. I really didn't think that I could do it, but I thought that I was a good enough rider to where if I landed flat, even with all that speed, I could hang on, and I tried my best to hang on to the motorcycle. I tried my best never to let go of the handlebars till I got to the bottom. I even remember going over the handlebars and my back hitting the front tire. I was trying to hang on to it that hard, but some things you just cannot hang on to.
How about at the top of that ramp? It's a very similar ramp to the jump you're making here today. How about the top of that ramp? Did you ever have any feeling inside saying, well, I wish I had the flu, or...
Sure, I wanted to take one bus out, but I knew in front of the people I couldn't do it. So I had to go ahead and make the jump. The jump that I'll make here today is about the same thing. The ski jump ramp is not going to be as long, and it's much steeper than it was in Wembley.
Let's go back and take a look at that Wembley jump. It was one of the most frightening days I've ever spent.
That's something sometimes I don't like to look at.
He will be going about 90 miles an hour when he leaves the ramp. He estimates he'll cover 140 feet, 10 feet either direction, and it could be all over. Look at him. Made his first jump when he was 15, and countless other jumps after that. In 1966, hurt himself in Indio. 1967 season, Palace, here he goes, and he will go.
concentrating whether or not he's even conscious. Scoot's over to him. He's hurt. He's hurt bad. Stay away from me, please. Stay away from him.
The man you see now leaning over Evel is John Hood. That's his chief mechanic. Of course, John is a very good friend of Evel Knievel's, and the other man, obviously, is a doctor, Dr. Wilson.
A nasty fall. He did not appear to clear the ramp enough. Helmet is being gently removed. Try and get a word with John if you can. Stay, keep back. Semi-conscious. Stay back. His left arm is being held.
And it appears, though, Evel wants to talk to this crowd.
Something else. He wants to talk. He's going to talk. I think it's that microphone again. Keep him off that ramp or the flat.
Everybody after the ramp.
Just keep him off the ramp or the flaps.
Take him up the ramp. You want to go up the ramp? I want to stand up and walk up. Help me out. Okay, we're going to help him up. On my shoulder. Right, you move off the ramp. Take it off the ramp. Off the ramp. Somebody came up the ramp.
I wouldn't let anyone more in there. They're flaps.
Ladies and gentlemen of this wonderful country, I've got to tell you that you are the last people in the world who will ever see me jump, because I will never, ever, ever jump again. I am through.
Stadium. I'm all done. I'm going to walk.
Injury is Evel, broken hand, compression fracture of the vertebrae. You re-injured your hip, you re-injured your pelvis. You really paid the price for going ahead with a jump that you were questioning at the very beginning.
Well, it's in this business, being a daredevil, that's the price you have to pay for success. It's no different than being a football player. If you fall off or somebody hits you too hard, you get hurt. That's it.
A little different results, though. Was it you or the machine?
It was the machine. The gearing wasn't right. And going in after the England-Scotland soccer game and having to set up in Wembley Stadium as fast as we did, I couldn't get the right gearing over on a jet airplane from Harley-Davidson, so there was nothing that I could do. They tried to get it as fast as they could, and there was just no way. So I had to go.
Of course, the retirement statement you made, I know how that affected you later. I don't even know whether you even realized what you were saying. I couldn't believe you'd, first of all, walk back up that ramp in the condition you were in. And, of course, the retirement thing was premature a little later on that fall. Last fall, as a matter of fact, we were in Cincinnati and...
Kings Island.
Kings Island. You set an outdoor record. Went for 14.
Don't want to jump 13 anymore. It's unlucky.
How far is it going to go? Is there a limit? I mean, how far are you going to stretch it?
I think I'll jump till I'm 40. And I just turned 38, so it gives me a couple more years. And I don't think that I can go on beyond that. When you fall off of a motorcycle on the pavement, it's not like falling off of a horse or a Brahma bull or getting tackled on AstroTurf. When you hit the pavement at 100 miles an hour, it really smarts. And it gets tougher as you get older in life to get up and keep going. No matter what your mental attitude is, your mental attitude deteriorates with pain and long healing process. There were times when I was hurt, when I'd break a hand or a rib or have a compression fracture of the back, where I could be back and doing my business in 30 days. But I'm not able to do that anymore. I've been hurt so many times. I counted up the months I've spent in hospitals and been laid up. It's been 3 years in hospitals or flat on my back. And I like to play golf. I'd like to kind of do this thing successfully and safely for another couple of years and just go ahead and hang it up.
Successfully and safely. Evel, you've received a lot of criticism over the past years about your influence. You're an idol to youngsters the world over. And when youngsters have an idol, they tend to emulate. That, of course, a criticism I know you're well aware of.
I am, and I feel a tremendous responsibility to kids and to parents. And if you'll remember, I stated on the Wide World of Sports show in Cincinnati that a motorcycle has no wings. And you have to realize when you're a daredevil, there is a point of no return. And I'm trying to keep my word with the kids. I'm trying to keep my word to their parents. And I'm doing my best to still be a daredevil and try and show them some responsibility. We're going to have to find out if it's going to work.
Of course, I've seen you also just really chewing some kids out in London, not even riding with a helmet on. So you're very, very aware of the children.
Well, I have 3 of my own, and one that I really have to keep an eye on because he likes to jump and ride so much. So I'm going through the same thing with mine that they're going through with theirs, and I'm very aware of it. I'm just trying to do the best job I can.
In other words, don't do what I do what I tell you.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I know you have to get ready for today's jump, quiet the butterflies and all of that. And we'll be right back and take a look at that Kings Island jump in Cincinnati that we talked about a moment ago.
Evel Knievel is inside his van making his last-minute preparations. He'll be coming out very shortly. You know, the last time I was on these steps was at Kings Island in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was right after Evel had recovered from his crash over in Wembley Stadium. He was going to make a jump of 14 buses, an attempt at a world's record. I quite frankly didn't think he would make it, nor did I even want him to try. Let's go back and take a look at that jump. And he's not hesitating. He'll go. That was then, but this is now. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the greatest showman in the world, Evel Knievel.
Thank you, Frank. Nice to see you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Before I make this jump, I just want to make one statement to you, mothers and dads, and especially you children who came here tonight to see me perform. I might be able to jump further than this. I don't know. But I feel that with the sale of my products in this country being what they are, in toys, in bicycles, and in helmets, that I have a responsibility to try and perform in a responsible manner to those of you who watch me. I use the best equipment in the world in these Harley-Davidson motorcycles. I have the best mechanics in the world help me. My men set up these ramps and sometimes work 24 hours a day doing it. You should never, in your lifetime, unless you are a real professional, unless you are being paid a fortune, you should never, ever, ever risk your life needlessly because you have a long life to live. I've been hurt many times. I've spent nearly 3 years in hospitals. It hasn't been easy, and this business gets tougher every day. I'm not telling you to jump. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just advising you that whatever you do in life, use caution, use your head, and remember that you only live once. So live it right. Thank you.
Evel Knievel. And as we take one look at the Sky Cycle, we'll be returning to the Kingdome as Evel Knievel warms up the crowd with wheelies. Evel Knievel warming up the crowd here at the Kingdome, Seattle, Washington, as is his custom. ripping by, doing his wheelies. And as you can see, the Kingdome, while a beautiful stadium, is not very large. And as Evel Knievel roars across the floor here, it takes only a matter of seconds. And that's going to be one of the problems in the jump coming up. And you can see it just takes just a couple of moments to move across the floor of this stadium. And I don't think I have to advise any youngsters watching. This man is a professional. Do not try to do what he does. And he will be the first one to tell you. The crowd, of course, spread out in this huge stadium. But they, like crowds all over the world, have come to appreciate this man. And no one I know can turn on a crowd like he can. There he is, doing a wheelie, standing on the seat of his motorcycle. And let's take a look at it again. Perfect balance. Just exactly the right amount of power.
That's it. Let's hear it for Evel.
Well, the crowd is ready. Evel Knievel is ready, and we'll be back for the jump. But right now, let's return to Jim McKay for the World's Weightlifting Championships. We're back at the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington, and Evel Knievel is going up to the top of his takeoff ramp, looking out over the 7 buses. He'll be jumping very shortly. And you see some skid marks on that landing ramp. Now, that happened this afternoon. Evel Knievel was making a practice run, and he hit short. There they are right there on top of that last bus. He hit short, and he just about bought it this afternoon in practice. And, of course, 7 buses doesn't sound like a long jump for Evel Knievel if you're familiar with his history. But keep in mind, there's a short in-run here, and it could be very dangerous, and Evel Knievel, quite frankly, is very concerned about it. Crowd, perhaps having heard that Evel had trouble in practice, they're concerned also. Evel Knievel, very apprehensive when he came into the Kingdome, looked over the crowd, and as always gave the word of caution to youngsters who have a tendency to emulate their heroes, advising them no, not unless you're a professional. And indeed, he's a professional. He carries the scars, the many scars of a professional. I spoke to him about jumping, about the dangers of it. And sometimes you can see that little glint in his eye that says, I love to do it, but it's not the thing to do. Perhaps no one that I've ever met has ever been able to turn on a crowd like Evel Knievel. I've seen him at the Canyon. I've seen him on several other occasions, and of course in Wembley, when they really did not know what a Robert Craig Knievel was. They had sold a couple of thousand seats when he had arrived there. Within 3 weeks, he had sold 80,000 seats. That's the kind of individual he is. Where is he from? He's from Butte, Montana. He's 38 years old. He started in the dirt tracks of California racing motorcycles. He escalated that and started jumping. Found that he could turn on a crowd better that way, and that indeed is probably what he perhaps likes to do most. He admires the adulation, the cheers of the crowd, but he's a professional ever since, too. When he went into the daredevil business, he was injured many times. And then he became very technical and very professional at what he did. His ramps are very carefully constructed. He studies each jump very carefully, but there have been mistakes. There were many of them when he was first beginning, and of course there was the near tragedy at Caesar's Palace many years ago. But he took a tremendous tumble and to jump over that fountain, a distance that Evel Knievel will say today that he could not make. Then, of course, there was the near tragedy at the Snake River Canyon. And his tremendous promotional talents came to the forefront there. And Evel Knievel turned on the entire world and has stood still to see whether or not this man could take a rocket-powered sky cycle and jump over a river. And then, of course, there was Wembley Stadium in London that I spoke of a moment ago. Wembley Stadium. 13 double-deck buses. And just prior to that jump, I was in his van, and he turned to me and he said, I don't believe that I can make this. Now, right now, we're going to pick up the voice of Roger Reman talking with Evel Knievel. Roger Reman is chief mechanic and assistant.
one more run. Yeah, by the time you go up there and down, it'll be warm enough. All right. That's good. Remember to get the gas on good.
I think you heard Roger Riemann, a great motorcycle racer in his own right, say to Evel Knievel, it's warm enough. Evel had questioned whether or not the bike was warm enough. He wanted to take a couple of more runs around the Kingdome. Roger said no. By the time you make a couple of approach runs, which Evel will do, Roger said the bike will be warm enough. It's hard to say exactly how many runs he will take. It depends upon the problems he has. All right, Evel Knievel making the approach. He will not go this time. He's checking it out. Now, there's a problem. That little area right there is a compression area. Coming down the ramp, he hits that little compression area. He settles down into the bike. And he must get himself together by the time he reaches the takeoff point, when he will be traveling at a speed of some 65, 70 miles per hour, and he must cover a distance of about 80 feet. Evel warming up his bike, and we'll be returning to the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington in just a moment. Seattle, Washington, Evel Knievel moving to the top of the ramp once more. He has made a couple of approaches, warming up the bike. Roger Riemann, his chief assistant and mechanic, a great rider in his own right over the past years, says everything is A-OK. The bike is warm, ready to go. I don't believe he will go this time. That is not his custom. Again, is a problem. Now, as he comes down, I'll try and describe it for you. Right here, as he hits this little area, he is forced down onto the bike. And, of course, he'll be coming at a much greater speed when he goes for the takeoff. And that was bothering him earlier today when he was going through the practice jumps that he always takes. Always very careful, always very cautious. Evel says thumbs up. Crowd cheering in anticipation. They've said so many times before, there's nobody that turns on a crowd quite like Evel Knievel.
Okay, get the gas on.
Gone back to the top. And I don't know whether he'll go this time or not. Warming up at the top now. Had a quick word with Roger Riemann. Says he is ready. Again, keep your eye on that one area where he will sink down onto the bike. And then he must get himself into control for the takeoff approach, full power on, leaving the ramp at a speed, well, it's hard to say, 65, 70 miles per hour. Traveling at a distance to clear these 7 Greyhound buses, approximately 80 feet, and I believe he's going to go. He hits the power. This afternoon, earlier this evening, while he was relaxed when we interviewed him, he nevertheless did tighten up when he came out into the Kingdome. And let's take another quick look at it while we wait for Evel Knievel. Here it is, coming down, hits the compression area, absolutely dead, perfect takeoff. Soaring high into the sky, here in the Kingdome. Just maybe got a little too far forward, but he came down dead perfect, right on target. And never a waver. So Evel has made a successful jump, and we'll take a look at it quickly from another angle. And this is from the landing ramp. Here he comes. Let's have a quick word with him. There's the takeoff. As you can see on your iodophore, Evel, it was just about dead perfect.
Well, the motorcycle nosedived, and it really wasn't supposed to do that. My power was off. But coming down a ski jump ramp, sometimes it's hard to control your speed, and it's hard to really judge the thing like it should be judged. You saw what happened here tonight. you saw the motorcycle nosedive. I really didn't do it right. The power curve was wrong. And even me, after jumping for 12 years, I even make mistakes still now. So remember what I told you. If you're going to jump, you're going to race, you're going to have fun in life, make sure that you take every safety precaution you can, just like I do. You've been a wonderful crowd. Thank you.
Evel Knievel, as he has done so often, we've heard him so many times, his last comment was, again, to those youngsters who perhaps would be thinking about trying what he tries, and his final word after the jump, even after 12 years, I can make a mistake. You heard Evel say he landed poorly, and in a moment we'll take a look at what Evel Knievel considers a good landing. We'll compare that with today's landing. But right now, this message. Let's go back to just about a year ago and see what Evel Knievel describes as a good landing. And a good landing here at Kings Island in Cincinnati was to land on the rear wheel after covering 14 buses, which he did. Even though he landed perhaps a little harder than he would have liked to, it was a successful jump. Here's his jump. You watched this a short while ago. Not coming down on the rear wheel. As a matter of fact, he catches the front wheel, and that can be very dangerous. That can throw the bike into a skid and dump the rider. So that's the story from the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington.